what album. Maybe Mark remembers the album, and when he comes on, he'll let me know. But you know what time it is, everybody. It is Wednesday. We're gonna go ahead and. Oh no, that's not the horn. That's the monster. We want to hit the horn. There we go. Hit the horn. Let everyone know it's Wednesday. It is the best hour of your week. We are here for you. Tipping points on puzzle pieces. Oh boy, do we have a show in store for you. But as always, I don't do this thing by myself. Who do I do it with? My trusty partner in crime. You can call him the PIC, the man, the extraordinary, the legend. And it makes us the two of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Mark Boatwright Frost. Come on, let's give him a hand, everybody. Bring him on, bring him on. All right. How are you doing today?
Great. I just want to know who the other 5 people in the Extraordinary Gentlemen are going to be.
Well, maybe Rob, when he's back from vacation.
Yep.
Right. Matthew, I think would be a good one. Michael, let's see. That would be 5, right?
It would be 5, and then they had Wilma Harkness, which would be Crystal or Terry or both.
Or Terry. Yep.
Yeah. Whoever wants to be a blood-sucking vampire.
Here's the thing: you are very Sean Connery-esque, if you will.
Okay. Now, at least I'm not the Matt Damon character or whoever the kid was.
Well, I mean, just give us a shaken, not stirred.
Oh, I wanted shaken, not stirred.
Oh man, there we go. Woo! We're gonna have time for you today. Oh, what is this?
Oh, those are my posts for today.
Welcome to Tipping Points. I'm just reading it, so like,
yeah. Let's talk train wreck.
Impossible ways out.
Oh, and pucker up.
Well, never a dull moment. So let's jump into it.
Okay, so today we're talking about train wrecks. And I want everybody to close their eyes for a moment, and I want to picture an old steam engine on the tracks on the top of a hill. Everybody's standing by it outside, getting ready to get on the train, but you look down the hill, and there's this chasm that's about a mile across, and it's unbelievably, unimaginably deep. And it's got a wooden bridge going across it, and halfway through, that bridge is out. So if you get back on the train and you ride that train, you're going to go halfway across the chasm, and everyone's going to die.
Sounds horrible.
That's what's happening in our lives today. We're slowly getting to the edge of the cliff, and some people would argue we're already over the edge of the cliff, and if we stay on the train and we don't do something to change it, we're all going to die.
I didn't say it quite so harshly yesterday in my campaign debate, but I did speak to it, the need for radical change, right?
Yes.
Not these incremental, well, let's try to fix this thing little pieces at a time. We're far too far gone to do that.
We are, and we're looking at the future, and the future is looking back at us, and it's not a pretty picture.
Agreed.
So what we're talking about today is the train, which is capitalism. And if you could read the quote that I gave you to everybody.
Yep, I'll put it in the chat also.
Okay.
All right. So it reads as, in the English language, the term capitalism first appears according to the Oxford English Dictionary, OED, in 1854. In the novel The Newcomers by novelist William Makepeace Thackeray, where the word meant having ownership of capital.
So is that the same definition as you would understand it when we use capitalism today?
No.
This is the traps that we have. We have words that have defined meanings, and then we make them mean whatever we want them to mean.
I'm going to spit out my Red Bull.
And so capitalism's been around since 1854. That's not forever. It is not carved in stone, except maybe on Wall Street, that capitalism is a thing. And it certainly isn't a thing that was meant to be from a novel, not a scientific study, not a treatise, not a piece of philosophy. It was a word that came out of a novel that suddenly got used to mean the economic engine that we use in democracy.
So we're talking about 169 years.
Yeah.
So this is new.
Yeah. Less than 3 generations new.
Wow.
So does that shock you to think that capitalism, the thing that everybody quotes and holds up as the model, is less than 170 years old?
It does actually.
This is how we get trapped into believing things that are not, in fact, actual or true.
I could definitely see that, right?
So what we're talking about today is the fact that the capitalism is a train wreck. It's not working. I think that for most people, trickle down economics or
Reaganomics?
supply side economics, as they called it,
Uh-huh.
doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I have been known on occasion to say, yeah, trickle down. It's kind of like yellow and smells. And when you walk through an alleyway that somebody has trickled down on, you don't generally like it much. So, that's my thinking of trickle down economics. It doesn't work. And anybody who actually believes it works needs to have a reality check in the worst way.
Mm-hmm.
Corporations are not our friends. Corporations are not people. Corporations are a conglomerate of workers working for the wealth of a few.
When you think of trickle down, like the image you get, right? Actually, the image I get is pretty vulgar. It's rich people urinating on the poor.
That
And
would be close to what I just described.
but at the end, when they're just shaking off the remnants. Sorry to be so vulgar. So it's not even a nice stream, but it's literally just the drops at the end. Sorry to be so blunt, but you said put a seatbelt on, so hey, I'm going there today.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say, and in the end, I'm like, I
it is a family show. But that's the image I get with trickle down economics, right? And we see that it's emblematic of what we have today, which only was exasperated through COVID, right? The rich got richer, and you can see the state of our country and global issues, today.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, we have technologies that are game changing, that are not being adopted because the few people who get all of the money like it the way it is. And I mean, we could sit here and spend 6 programs, no less than 6 programs, talking in detail about all those pieces, and I'd be happy to do that at some given time. We can talk about how all of it comes together, how all of it works, how all of it was created, how it's been going on for thousands of years, and capitalism is the newest name for it. We can talk about all that. The bottom line is it doesn't work. And capitalism, and let me just debunk this and let the hate begin, I don't care. Capitalism and democracy do not link up and are one thing. Democracy is a form of government that has the people having a voice, like the Constitution, we the people. Capitalism is an economic model, and not even a great economic model. Now, so is communism, an economic model, not a governmental process. When people say, oh, socialism, immediately people challenge you with capitalism. Remember I talked about traps?
Mm-hmm.
The trap and the emotional impact of words that go back to the 1950s about communism. The constant pressure from corporate media about socialism and the money that they spend in the federal government to stop any movement towards socialism. That is traps that are set to keep us in divisive antagonism toward each other and not be able to move to a more human-centric model. You are no longer talking. Your volume went down.
So let me ask you a few questions. I see this as we actually have a hybrid model, right? We have a capitalist and a socialist society integrated, but it's too far swung toward the side of capitalism, right?
And look what it took to get any socialism in our system at all.
Right.
It took the Great Depression, where capitalism failed miserably, and horribly. And actually, a law was put into place, Glass-Steagall, to stop it from ever happening again. Oh, until 1998, when Alan Greenspan, Congress, and Bill Clinton helped overturn the protections of Glass-Steagall. And then 9 years later, we had, a recession that we aren't really calling a depression that just keeps cycling worse and worse and worse.
So I know that you have a Star Trek economy outlook, right?
Yeah.
We can move toward that. We would be great. Would it be more realistic to say that we need or what could work is a hybrid of socialism and capitalism? And for me, the part that you would make socialist would be the Maslow's hierarchy things, right? Housing, healthcare, food, water, power.
But that's really easy. So let's talk about the other half of it, the capitalistic side of it.
Sure.
Because in order to keep a capitalistic system, we have to do one thing, and one thing very well.
What's that?
Regulate the bloody hell out of it. We have to enforce the laws that we have. We have to protect from insider trading. We have to make the stock market fair and equitable again. We have to regulate and watch everything, because we have proven again and again and again that corporations are not responsible for their behavior.
Well, then
Well, let me say, they will not behave responsibly toward the people and the society.
Well, then let me ask you this. So for the proponents of capitalism, could they argue and be accurate in saying, hey, we haven't had a fair shake to see if this capitalistic model would work because we don't enforce the laws? We have laws on the books for almost everything, right?
Mhm.
We just don't enforce them. Or better yet,
we
selectively enforce them.
We defund the agencies that are given to enforce them.
Well, no, but we still enforce them, but we
Sort of.
are selective.
Yes.
Or those in power select who they enforce it on, right?
Right.
So would it be fair to say that capitalism could actually work, but we've never had a chance to have that experiment in earnest because we don't enforce the laws on everyone?
Okay, I'm going to be an asshole right now
Go
and
ahead.
say, what exactly is capitalism?
Oh, you want me to read the definition again?
From a novel. So let's go back to talking about that, because we have
Yeah.
to actually have that conversation.
Right.
It is part of that. Capitalism, not capitalism, but coin, capital, as it's called now, coin, money, are representative of an item that you want or need that somebody else makes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so essentially, coinage was developed to make barter easier. That's the heart of capitalism as it was originally taught, was that you have a dollar bill and you are going to use that as a equivalent to this person who makes leather gloves or jackets or shoes.
Right.
So that is 1-to-1. It is not that, and has not been that for a very, very long time. And stocks were originally the ability to invest in a company, not a corporation, a company, in order to help them become successful so they could provide jobs and product that you need. From the time that was even an idea, it has been corrupted so badly that the stock market is now about developing wealth, not helping companies become more equitable and provide better product. Matter of fact, companies no longer provide good products because they have planned obsolescence and they want you to get rid of it. So let's step aside for one moment and talk about the environment and about resources. And if you're getting rid of products every 3 years to get new products and you're not recycling them, you're creating trash from very valuable resources that in less than a decade, we're going to wish we had.
Mm.
We have one planet, folks. One planet. Wrap your head around that. We do not have unlimited resources. And while we're following this capitalist model that uses resources to gain wealth for a very few and creates all of this waste, we, along with us, creates all of this waste that we are not being able to recycle or reuse. And we aren't even thinking about that because somebody would have to invest money to make that work.
Mm-hmm.
We are destroying the one planet we live on with fixed resources. Wrap your head around that, because that's just how it is. At some point in the very near future, you, your children, their children are coming up against a wall or a out bridge on a chasm And there's no way over it unless we start today, now. And we can take small steps today now that'll get us where we need to be.
I mean, I'm trying to hear you, Mark, but I just got my new iPhone and they sell millions every year and new cars. And, I have all these things at my fingertips. I just did an Amazon order last night at 9 p.m. and it was on my doorstep at 6 a.m. this morning. What do you mean we're running out of resources?
Yeah. And have you gone shopping at the market recently? I know the
I
answer
have.
to this, but you have.
I
Whoa.
did. Well, because my team is out of town, so I had to walk into a Walmart.
Wally World. Ooh.
Uh-huh.
So, did you notice that shelves were a little emptier than usual?
Yes, I did actually.
So, let's talk about some of the things that are resource intensive. Because of the issues going on in Gaza right now and things that have been going on around the Suez Canal for the last, half a year,
Mhm.
olive oil is getting harder and harder to find because olive oil ships from the Suez Canal.
What's Popeye doing about it?
Well, watching the olive oil shelves get emptier.
I couldn't help
So,
myself. Sorry.
so I talked a week or so ago, and next week I will make sure that I've got the link for you. Unless Terry is able to find the link for the article she has on what's going on in the Panama Canal and water, and
Mhm.
puts it in the chat, I would really appreciate it if she could find that. When we built the Panama Canal, we didn't think about water because water was everywhere, right? This is like the early 1900s or something. They use fresh water to fill the Panama Canal. In the
Really?
locks. Yeah, the locks are fresh water that the ships go through from each thing. They don't have enough fresh water now to fill the locks, so they had to slow down the transition of ships dramatically. So the Panama Canal has been less efficient way of transferring from east to west and west to east for the last several months.
Mm.
On top of that, there have been, last I checked, and it's probably worse now, 16 hurricanes in the Atlantic and the Caribbean regions. 16 this year. We also started to get hurricanes on the west side in the Pacific. And at one point, not too long ago, there was a tropical storm hurricane going up the east side and a tropical hurricane going up the west side of Panama on the same dime at the same time, which
Mhm.
stopped traffic going through. So we are a global economy, as you have mentioned several times. We ship all over the world. We get an average piece of fruit or vegetable that comes to Kitsap County has traveled 900 kilometers to get here. So we can start looking at the fact that we are insecure because anything can happen. We read the article the last week that, or the week before last, where Georgia's lost 95% of their peach crop.
Right.
This is happening all over. I could fill up the link here with articles I read about food shortages. And the more this happens, the less secure we're going to be. And this is part of the whole issue with resources. Food is a resource, and soil is a resource for food production. In the United States, we do industrial agriculture, and scientists are telling us that we are destroying the soil we grow in. And this is proven by the fact that the nutritional value of our food has been dropping steadily since the 1950s. And that's only because we've been measuring it.
Mhm.
So that we have less nutrition in our food, we eat more and have more obesity because we're not getting the nutrients that we need out of the fruit that we have, the food that we have. And in 60 years, they're saying that we won't be able to grow at all because we will have depleted the soil and eroded all nutritional value from the soil. Feel like a sandwich right now?
Well, a bug sandwich.
Yeah.
Because that
Yeah.
seems to be the way we're going, and bioengineered food and meat grown in a lab, which looks disgusting if you have seen it.
So there are other ways to deal with this. The traps are that we believe the leadership and corporations are going to find an answer, and the corporations are going to find answers that are profitable for corporations.
Mhm.
But we can find answers. We can grow food. It's not impossible. It's something we've been doing for years. And while we're talking about corporations and medical medicine and resources and reality, The United States, last I checked, was 27th in the world in child mortality, and we have the highest cost for medicine of any country by a lot. And I can get you the statistics, but 27% 27th in line for child mortality for the most expensive hospitals in the world and the most expensive medicine in the world. Socialism can solve some of those issues because we can then regulate medicine in a more realistic way, and we can take the goal away from making lots of money to providing health for people. And we can start putting resources into fixing the problems that are causing us to be 27th in infant mortality. We have a lot of people that say they care about the life of a child, but we have we're 27th in infant mortality in the world per capita.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people.
Yeah. And that's not just a Republican issue or a right side issue, right? That's a left side also. We have Gavin Newsom down there in California just vetoed a bill to like provide condoms to high schoolers. He didn't put a cap on some medicine, some prescription drugs down in California. So this is a two-sided issue.
It is. I mean, and the fact is, we need to stop paying attention to two sides and go to the third side, which is the human side, and focus entirely on that.
Is there a human party?
Huh?
Is there a human party?
No, but they're human beings in both parties, and if they started coming together, we could change the face of both parties. It's about humanity, and it doesn't matter if you're right or left. There are things we agree on. The life of a child is probably one of those.
And there's so much to do, on the other side of the election, just to your point, one of the things you have to do is you need to get the endorsement from one side. And then if you get it, then you're able to purchase the call rolls from the voters in the last elections, right?
Right.
And depending on who you are, they won't even put you forward as a person to run, right? See Bernie Sanders and Cornel West and, RFK, right? So if you're not the party darling, they're not going to support it, even if the things that you believe align more with that particular party.
Yep, absolutely so. And it's about politics, not about people. Yet the first three words of our Constitution, as we constantly say, I don't think we've had an episode in the last 10 or 15 we haven't said, is we the people.
We the people.
But we the people have to represent.
Right.
So now is the time to put up that picture, if we could, and we'll talk about that for a little bit.
Here we go.
Okay, so this is social capital. I found this picture and I looked at it and I went, wow. Okay, what would it look like? I want you to imagine. I'm just going to say the words. It said, outlook in life is social and humanistic. You think about humans, yourself, your family, your neighborhood, and they think about you. You create networks among people to talk about certain things, the things that are important to you, and work together, not looking for a politician to solve a problem or a corporation to solve a problem, but looking to your neighbors and the people around you. You create bonds, you build bridges. By the way, if anybody hasn't seen it, and I will say there are some sexual situations in it that might make people feel uncomfortable, but there's a series on Netflix called Sense8. It's a science fiction series. I think.
That's an awesome show.
And there's a scene where one of them is in Kenya and is running for one of the political positions in Kenya. And he says, love is a bridge, not a wall. It is the most powerful thing ever. Love is a bridge, not a wall. So another trap we have, using words like love and creating barriers and exceptions and expectations around it, when it should just be a connection between two people and leave the rest of it alone.
Right.
Feelings and trust and safety. Do you feel particularly safe?
Well, we've had this conversation before. No. And by the daily, less and less.
So if everybody in your neighborhood was together, would you feel a little more secure when you know that your neighbors will be watching out for you?
Yeah.
That right there would make,
my neighbors do.
yeah. So values and norms, setting values and norms that are human based instead of market based or marketing based or religious based or political based. What are the norms really for human beings?
Mhm.
Reciprocity. Everybody takes care of each other and makes sure that they have some equitability between them. Diversity. The universe, as science says, the universe is diverse. The healthy state of our planet and the universe and everything else is diverse. If we're killing species off right, left, and down the middle for the benefit of dollars, and we're removing resources for the benefit of dollars, can you eat dollars? Are dollars going to keep you warm at night? Are dollars going to keep you alive in a tragedy or a crisis? We need more diversity, not less diversity. We need to rebalance the harmony. I don't want to use the word harmony really, but we need to rebalance the diversity and the health of our ecosystems, all of them. And citizen power, we the people, is at the heart of social capital.
Mm-hmm.
And social capital becomes capitalism in a very different way. It becomes, you own capital. I own social capital right now. I am providing social capital by being on this show. Marwan is providing social capital that he owns by being on this show and helping create bridges, helping create networks, helping change the outlook of life, helping people identify norms and values, understanding reciprocity. We talk about diversity. We talk about the power we have when we sit down together and figure out what the human need looks like together.
Just to that end, putting all these together, right? What is social capital? Outlook in life, networks, bonding, bridging, feelings of trust and safety, values and norms, reciprocity, diversity, citizen power, and proactivity. In the debate yesterday, they asked, if you had a magic wand, what would be the one thing that you did for the city of Bremerton? And my issue with our thinking is it's so linear, so antiquated, so myopic in its viewpoint. And what I said was, I could have said social capital here, but what I said was, if you have all parts of Maslow's hierarchy, that highest step there is self-actualization. So if I had a magic wand, then I would want everyone to be able to experience self-actualization, because that meant that food and safety and everything else was already met, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I'm saying is the social capital aspect. And all the other people, they all had one thing, right? Whether it was, medical detox or, affordable housing. And it's like, that doesn't fix the situation, right? So you've got affordable housing, but you don't have jobs. You have affordable housing, but you don't have healthcare. You have a magic wand. It's magic. And I think the problem with many of us is we can no longer dream or think outside of this box we've put ourselves in for so long. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now, if people had come and attended the workshop, we'd help them learn how to think about that again, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we have been trained not to think critically. And you see this every day in every way. We have never been taught that life is about social contracts. And this is just another form of social contract. And it's a social contract that is supportive as opposed to destructive, which is how we are living our lives now.
Yeah.
So driving around here, you see it every day. And I don't know if my system's going to slow down. It just started doing a scan for antivirus for some reason in the middle of the day.
You're a Microsoft user, correct? You're Windows guy?
Yeah. So anyway, we have to find a way to get here. And you were talking about Maslow. This is what I was going to say. You're talking about Maslow's hierarchy, and I don't know how many people out there that are watching the show have ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy or were taught about it in school, because I'm noticing that things aren't being taught in school anymore that were normal for us, things that we were taught in psychology and the social sciences, which I'm not even sure are taught. But Marwan mentioned that I'm a firm advocate of the Star Trek economy. And one of the reasons I'm an advocate of the Star Trek economy is because it is based on Maslow's needs. You take care of people's if you take care of, and I know a lot of people hair is about to go on fire. If you take care of people's housing, their education, their food, their warmth, their medical, and all of the things that are the basic things to just live, and they get to that point where they can actually start applying their willpower, their energy, their innovation toward change, we could change the entire world in like very short amount of time. We could find ways to make the world a much better place very quickly. And we can fix a lot of the broken families if that pressure was taken off. But it behooves people who are making lots of money to keep that pressure on so that we are focused on this and not the fact that we have nothing and are getting less of nothing. And I want to talk about the political and governmental realities of this in a minute, but I know you want to show this and talk about it. So
no, go ahead. You switch and I'll pop this up after.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what this is. Oh, never mind. Yes. Sorry, I cancel. I do not want you to do this right now. Kept restarting. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Okay, so one of the issues we have that is not being said because people don't get reelected if they say this,
right,
is that we have an ever more challenging system in government to provide the basic needs. Okay, Washington State. Let's talk about, before we go into talking about income tax or anything else. We're not going to go there. So take a deep breath, sit back, relax, be good. Sales tax is the model that Washington State uses, but there are fewer and fewer resources for people to have. The jobs are paying. There aren't as many jobs. When we talk about 1.3 million jobs created, we're not talking about family wage jobs. We're talking about jobs, period. Corporations are basically paying as little as they can for humans to get what they need.
Mm.
So here we are in a situation where sales tax, people aren't buying as much each year. Retail gets less and less. And how would you know this? Because retail used to have the numbers were posted at the end of every year, said, look how good we've done. For 5 years now, we haven't seen that. Retail's tanking every year. And
well, you're watching box stores shut down by the dozens, by the scores.
Yep, but Jeff Bezos has got rocket ships and money and all kinds of things because people are buying from him. And theoretically, that money comes into taxes into Washington State. As we look at it, that money is getting less and less. That pool, like the resources of the world, are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And so the state, the counties, the cities are all shrinking their revenue source. So what revenue do we have? We have property taxes and we have permitting and such from developers. And so you're suddenly seeing this boom of development going, and you keep hearing again and again how we have a housing shortage, how we have a housing shortage, how we have a housing shortage. Let's ask a couple questions because I'm all about asking that next question. First of all, did we have a housing shortage a year ago? Did we have a housing shortage 5 years ago? Where did all of the people who need these houses come from? We haven't really grown our Navy presence here. We haven't really grown the income status here. Though HUD, I will notice, has said that the average income in Kitsap County is $104,000 for a family of 4. I don't know about you, but I don't know many families of 4 or anybody who has $104,000 a year income here. So I don't know how that's the average income in Kitsap County. Unless some people are making way, way more.
I was just going to say, there's, so many outliers that they're dragging it up.
or it's just a fictitious number being supported by faulty analysis.
There's that too.
So we are developing the hell out of the county to provide funding for the cities and for the county to maintain basic needs. So
Mm-hmm.
let's blow the shit out of this one for a moment. All right. There is a rumor, a somewhat substantiated rumor out there that politicians in this county and economic development people and developers in this county want to bring in 500,000 more people in the next decade. 500,000. Doesn't sound, it's not a million, so it doesn't sound like much until you realize that our current population is right in between 260 and 300,000 people. So you're more than doubling the population by over a third more than doubling the population here. Okay, we've talked about the fact that if you're going to do that, then you probably better know what the water tables are doing, and nobody does.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what that is, you better start building infrastructure like crazy if you're planning to bring those people in, because you need to have that infrastructure in place before they get here.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking for the money that's going to come in from that to do the infrastructure, you've already failed.
Right.
So what do we have here? We have an absolute mess that people are looking at dollar signs and not reality. And this county cannot afford too much more fantasy that's not reality based. And you need some people in office. You need some people in office who ask hard questions and go, time out here. Maybe we need to rethink how we're spending money, or maybe we rethink how we get money and what we're spending money on. And maybe we need to spend more money on building infrastructure, especially if we want to bring more people in.
Well, in that, right, you had the firefighters and the police levy fail, right?
Yep.
Which is going to come back again. You've got school levies. I mean, you can only tax homeowners so much. So there has to be some alternate source of revenue coming into the city.
And let's talk about water. We did talk about water, but let's talk about the fact that most water in this county is special taxation districts that you have no representation in, but they can tax you legally. So your water bill is involved with a tax. So as you see this go back and forth, this is how we work without being very clear. Now, I had somebody this morning, I was driving, and somebody asked me, where does our money go? And I said, legally they're required to be transparent. But if you start asking questions and trying to see where money goes, it's amazing how much transparency there isn't. Because people say, well, I'll have to look that up, and then nobody ever gets back to you. They just do the stall game. And that needs to change. People need to have the ability to understand where the money that their taxes are going is spent. So we can't change government until we get transparency in government. So the first thing we have to do is address that. We have to get transparency. So water, roads.
I'm with you.
Yeah, water, roads, power. Power comes from the PSE. Power comes from gas and Cascade. And both of those things are being stretched further and further and further from their central source. We don't know what water is. We don't know what water recycling. We don't know about any of these things that we should be looking at. And every time it comes to fixing the problem, we go back to the same thing we did before. And what was it the Alcoholics Anonymous say? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Well, maybe they're not expecting a different outcome. What they're expecting is to just patch this hole for right now until somebody else is in charge or some miracle happens.
We said that earlier, right?
Yeah, magical thinking doesn't work.
I want to be reelected. I don't want to be known, even if I'm a one-term person. I don't want that to fall on me. So I'm going to kick it down the road, right? The buck is going to stop with someone, and we're going to have hell to pay when we do. The problem is the longer we push it off, the hell is going to be 3 and 4 and 5 times worse. So
it's going to involve body count, and it's going to involve body count.
Right.
So, and if you think you're immune to this, let's just be really clear here. You're not. When it hits the fan, we are all going to be affected. some sooner, some later. And let me add a little piece of real surprise for you. You know the people who do best when it really hits the fan? The homeless people, because they've learned how to survive.
I see. I don't know about that.
Well, they know how to live in the streets when you don't.
Oh, that's true. But I think, the Bezos and the Musk and, all the folks that are continuously shifting the wealth of the globally, those are the ones that really make out the best. And I think what people are really missing is,
I think that they
you know,
won't. I think
I,
that they will make. I think in the end they're going to crash with everybody else, and they're going to be the ones looking really surprised about it.
but what's a crash, right? They lose two of their super yachts. I mean, is that what
Uh,
we're talking about?
let's talk about Mad Max crash.
I don't think they're going to see that in their lifetime.
But their kids probably will.
They're not worried about that.
Yeah, if the resources start going tits up,
They're not
it's
worried
gonna.
about that because most of us aren't worried
Well,
about that, unfortunately.
and that's the point. That's the point I'm very much trying to make here.
Yes, yes.
We need to start worrying about that now because it's not going to affect us. I mean, I'm probably not going to make it through to see the worst of it, but I'm seeing it go less good every day. I've watched it get worse for 40 years.
We have this show every week, right?
Yep.
We weren't talking about Palestine, Israel last week.
Nope.
Right? It's like that.
All kinds of things are happening. We weren't talking about Ukraine a couple of years ago either.
Right.
And COVID before it happened. I mean,
right.
And yet COVID was something that was predicted 40 years ago.
And also 5 years ago.
Right. And we saw and we've been seeing the reports on erosion on the soil. I've been watching it for 10 years now. Water issues, we've been warned about them for a while. Climate change, let's talk about 16 hurricanes. We're watching it fall apart around us, and we're all thinking it's not going to happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee you, Bezos doesn't think it's going to happen to him because no one in his circle is going to tell him it is.
Right.
It's a fast way to lose your job and become one of us.
For most of we the people, I think the bottom is going to drop out, and we're not seeing it coming. We're the frogs in the pot, right? We had COVID. Yep. We've got Ukraine and Russia. We've got Israel and Palestine. We've got China and Taiwan. We've got North Korea. We have all these things, and all of these resources have been flowing out, right? We have immigration coming in, right? We have homelessness. We have folks that can't survive day to day. They can't afford their health care. And folks are, steadily falling from the safety net. I mean, and not a trickle, right? I mean, folks are falling fast.
Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls. And there's going to be one thing that happens here, and I fear that it's soon, and a whole bunch of us are really going to experience that, and we're going to say, hey, where's the help? And at some point, you can't print any more money. It will mean nothing.
As I've been saying, we have shrinking resources. And corporations are pulling money in and storing it now. They're not putting it out at all because they know something's coming. And they think money will save them from it.
Which is why we need to have, reclaim that attitude of made in America, right?
Absolutely. Or made in Kitsap County. Grow our food here. Let's grow our food here. Let's create our own power here. Let's build social capital and start moving off of capitalism.
Well, and isn't that the definition of resiliency?
It is exactly the definition of resiliency. Being able to create capacity where you are to thrive. Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to do, and we need to come together. I mean, Marwan and I talk about this every week, and we talk about the need to create a community where we work together, where we need to create food to grow together so that we can thrive together and create a grassroots network that will allow us to change the political representation that we have and be more equitable. And I don't care what party you belong to. I don't care what your philosophy is. We aren't being taken care of by anybody. So it's really time for us to come together and, go to our representative parties and get them to look at things differently.
Well, you got to get your water storage, right? How many do you need?
Absolutely. We have 15 stored right now because we have almost no room. But we are looking to have 50 gallons of water at any given time in the backlog to make sure that we have water if there's a water shortage.
Yeah. And we talked about this last year, I think around the same time.
Yep.
If you did not prepare last year, you can start today. If you did last year, check your stocks, replenish your stocks.
Absolutely.
What new did you learn this year?
And with water, you can cycle it through. You can
Right.
use it. You can use the water that you have in storage and empty 5 gallons out and then refill it and use your oldest first and move it through. And I know this seems like a lot, people, but you'll be happy you're doing it. It just becomes a habit. You need to get into the habit of doing it.
A little bit at a time. But yeah, do not wait until it's too late.
Yeah, actually, we started this conversation at September 11th last year.
Was it really?
Yeah, no, the year before last.
Year
So
before
we've been doing this almost 2 years. This is episode 86.
Wow. Oh yeah, once we get to 104, right? That'll be 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's a hell of a thing.
It is.
We're 18 episodes off of that 18, is that right? Yeah, 18 episodes off.
Yep.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so we will be coming up on 2 years real soon. And yeah, I'm actually kind of talked out today. I think we've said everything we needed to say, and we're a little bit early on it, but
Well, you know what's perfect is we have the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition at 2:00. So
yep,
we always need to cut a little bit early anyway. So it sounds like I need to give the last word on there.
You do. You absolutely do.
So I'll come back to this and just kind of go back to that magic wand question that was asked of me. And when that question was asked, I actually had to go first, right?
Right.
And so it's like, well, hell, if no one's asked me what would I do if I had a magic wand? I got to think. And that's what I came up with. And if you look at the top of the pyramid here with self-actualization, this is saying that everything else is met, right? Your physiological needs, but that security, that love and belonging. If you've been watching what's happening in the news and reading news articles, right? Our Gen Z folks are feeling more isolated and lonely than ever.
Suicide hotlines are ringing off the hooks right now.
Yeah, self-deletion is up in men, and I think it was up 3 times that amount since pre-COVID, right? Esteem needs. So if all these things are met, then we can be the best versions of ourselves, become that celloist, become that engineer, become that artist, become that whatever it is, right? But most of us are just trying to hang on in these bottom 2 rungs here of the pyramid. And so, yes.
Yeah, picture the nails on the wall, that's all you're getting.
And this is emblematic of class, right?
Mm-hmm.
The self-actualization of the Bezos and the Musk at the top, right? They can build spaceships because they've got so much money.
Let me actually give you a different view of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I say this when people say they're evil, blah blah blah. I said, well, okay, let's think of it this way: we are all broken. We are all broken. I adamantly believe this because our culture is broken. How can we not be?
Mm-hmm.
But how broken do you have to be to focus on wealth over everything else?
I don't think that's hard because that's what society tells us is
our broken society. Our broken society.
Yes.
Okay, so I think of Jeff Bezos and I think of Elon Musk as people that have this giant hole in the middle of them that is not. They really don't have the love and belonging piece. And I don't think they're really self-actualized. I think they're just trying to fill the hole every way they can. And money is the way that they choose to make themselves feel better.
Well, maybe that might be
and that means esteem isn't being met either, because they can never fill the hole enough to actually realize that they have esteem because they don't feel like they have esteem. Everything they're doing is selling the idea that they have esteem to you.
That could be a metaphor for the Scarecrow and the Wizard of Oz, but and they're just stuffing themselves with dollar bills.
Yeah. They don't have esteem. They don't have love and belonging. They come from a very broken background and they're trying to fill that hole inside of them with something, and they're trying to sell to you that they are better than they are.
Well, to your point, that is why we do see self-deletion from individuals who are quite wealthy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, what happens when you have everything and you're still not happy?
Yep.
And that is, I think that is definitely appropriate in your situation, in your example.
Yeah.
I think with them, they're still chasing it. So maybe they don't have it, they're not satisfied, and so they continue to drive to fill whatever that gap is. But at the end of the day, their basic needs are met, and
Yeah.
everyone should at least have those first three met, just
Yeah.
because you're
I
a
just,
human being.
somebody came through with a meme a
Mhm.
couple days ago that struck me, and I will freely say that I have not researched this yet. But the meme said basically that there were two people who essentially founded Tesla and brought the technology together to make the Tesla models happen. And Elon Musk was an investor who essentially took it over, alienated them, and is now selling what I would call, this is my opinion, a bankrupt technology that the people who originally founded it have long gone. And that is a very tech centric model that I've seen again and again and again, where people end up with an empty bag selling the same thing over and over again because nobody can innovate from there, because the people who originally came up with it were shoved out so that somebody like Elon Musk could market it.
Well, that may be true.
And I have not researched it, but it would not surprise me if it were true.
There's a new technology, and I can't remember what liquid they were using. I just saw this last week, and I can't remember. I'm sorry.
The ammonia engine.
Thank you. What do you know about that? Is that
Very little?
very promising? Supposedly.
Yeah, we see these memes come out periodically, like sidewalks that generate energy while you walk on them or drive over them, and there's only one question I have to ask: who's going to invest in it to make it so? And how much does it cost? And does the cost benefit analysis come together? Then go back to who's going to invest in it to make it happen. Toyota, on the other hand, seems to be looking, and this is only from a headline, not from any research on my part. Toyota is looking at the ammonia engine. And that would make sense because Toyota's been the leader in a lot of things.
But I'm glad that, and that's where capitalism has a place to thrive. I think it has a place, right?
I think that innovation would happen without capitalism. I think that if we had Maslow's need met, people would be innovating a lot more. I think corporation and corporate capitalism, and I'm very specifically saying corporate capitalism or unregulated capitalism, actually spends more time crushing innovation than it does creating or supporting innovation and change.
Touche, sir. I can't say anything to that because we know we've had energy efficient technologies that we could have given to the world long before.
Yep. And look at in the not made here thing, nobody's looking at Germany to adopt it. Everybody's running away from Germany because they would have to invest money to start creating that technology, and are shifting to solar and renewable energy like Germany had will take a lot of investment, and our power companies aren't interested in spending that money because it would decline the return on investment to their investors.
Well,
But then again, there's the power of the people, and we have this little project. What it's called? Power for All. Which we're hoping in the next year to take off, but we could reuse people's voices, so join us.
And I want us to do that in a way where it's not anarchy, right? If we
absolutely not.
Now we can come together and make the change, and not let it be a revolution, like you said,
but an intentional evolution.
Yes, but an evolution. And my fear is that, unfortunately, we may stay asleep to where it ends up being a revolution.
Well, we are both afraid of that.
Yeah.
but I continue to work on it and invite people to join us, and people are starting to join us. And we have some remarkable things. Even through a really shitty day, we have some remarkable things going on with Matthew's Garden.
Yeah, I love it.
And we have stuff we're working on for the Power for All that's actually creating a model we can start applying. And
Well,
we've got some conversations going about Water for All too.
good. I'm glad you took us off on a high note.
Yep.
Well, with that, then we're gonna say ta-ta for now. We have 4 minutes until the Kitsap Housing and Homeless Coalition meeting starts. I should have a link ready so people could just link right over, but it's on the conduit, so please meet us over there. There will be updates. Maybe Salvation Army will be on talking about the shelter opening up November 1st. But as always, the conduit tries to keep you informed and up to date on all information, Bremerton, Kitsap, and beyond. So stay tuned. And as always, we want to thank you, Mark, for an excellent show.
And I have one last question.
Yeah.
What do you think about the background I put up today?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. When I logged in, it was like, oh yeah, I like it. I like it. And the puzzle pieces have the purple hues to them. So
Yes.
I mean that's a win.
and the teal ones for our side.
Yes. Well, I mean, Roseco has all the colors in there technically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I love it.
Okay. So that's going to be our background from now on, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, I love it.
All right.
That works. All right, everyone, join us over there. Meeting starts in 3 minutes, and then City Council tonight at 5:30. For Mark Boatwright Frost, I am Marwan Cameron. This is Resilient Ecosystem, Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces. Until next Wednesday, take care of yourself, take care of each other.